1 million Louisiana residents are without power after Hurricane Ida made landfall on Sunday with 150-mile-per-hour winds, devastating neighborhoods and homes like this. Most of New Orleans is without power. Officials predict some areas could remain powerless for at least a month. 5,000 National Guard members have been deployed to assist with search and rescue.
And as the storm moves towards Mississippi, where mass evictions are underway, some residents there face major flooding and homelessness. According to the Mississippi Free Press, residents at one apartment complex say they were given 3 hours to pack up and leave. It is important to note in this instance, it's unclear if the eviction moratorium would have made a difference. New owners are planning to rehabilitate the buildings and wanted all the residents gone. Well, also now, there was also an evacuation order. So, you're combining eviction orders with evacuation orders. And I wonder if the landlords end up screwing themselves in this situation. Although, if they're in the wake of this hurricane, maybe they're hoping to cash in on some insurance check. Kim, what do you make of this?
First, I want to say that it's really with the hurricane and the damage. I mean, this is obviously devastating. And what's really interesting about it is that many of the experts are saying that a lot of the injuries and a lot of the hospitalizations ends up happening after the hurricane, and not because of the hurricane, but actually because of the cleanup effort. So that's something to kind of keep in mind as people are going in and they're picking up debris, they're trying to repair things, and then they end up injured. And so that's something for people, something I had actually never thought about until they brought it up. And it's a really good point that people should be very aware of. But yeah, I mean, now is definitely not the time to be evicting people, right? Especially in the middle of a natural disaster. Now is not the time to, I mean, with an evacuation, I don't know, do we know, do they get to go back to their house if they're being evacuated, but they're also being evicted?
Yeah, I mean, to Ryan's point, maybe the joke's on the landlords if they're evicting people who are having to evacuate and the landlords themselves aren't able to, repurpose the home. But it's the worst timing. This is a terrible, terrible time for the people of New Orleans and throughout Louisiana who've been impacted by this devastating damage. What I can imagine amounts to millions and millions of dollars of losses and of damage that families are going to have to face. These usually are the moments that bring out the best in people, where you see, the Cajun Navy goes out and helps try to save people who are stranded. You see communities come together to house each other, to feed each other, to clothe and shelter each other during these things. So any sort of a predatory landlord who would use this opportunity to evict someone, it's a disgrace. And I hope we don't see that. I hope we see folks taken care of through the worst of this.
And this is happening at the same time that we're seeing mass evacuations from Lake Tahoe, from the fires out there. And for a major American city, and not just city, but region around it, to go for a month in August without power is going to leave incalculable damage on top of the loss of life that's going to result. So when senior centers without power, for a month in August, when not everybody was able to evacuate, the effect of mold and flooding on a month of no power is going to leave that area as a wasteland that is going to be in need of extraordinary reconstruction. And meanwhile, in Congress, Democrats are putting the finishing touches on this massive, climate-focused infrastructure package. And it's going to be, I think, that much harder for people like Josh Gottheimer to say, this is not the time for us to, invest in this sort of thing.
Well, actually, I think he might be able to use it against with the destruction that we're seeing, and you have the infrastructure bill, and then of course you have the reconciliation package, and this might be the time where he says, "Listen, we need shovels in the ground now."
Yeah. I mean, well, there's a tiny fraction of money in the bipartisan bill. The bigger bill, that addresses these types of needs is the one that that Democrats are working on now to put through the reconciliation process, which just requires 50 votes.
And one thing just to know.
But you're probably right that he might, in fact, try to do that.
Yeah, one thing to note as Louisiana is, grappling with the aftermath of this, with injuries that unfortunately will probably continue to come and illnesses while they go through this long period of not having power in huge areas. Louisiana has also been rocked by COVID. They've had high hospitalization and ICU rates. So something that, we'll be monitoring and folks need to be monitoring is the hospital capacities in these areas, because their resources are certainly spread thin right now.
And they have been for a while. I mean, this is an area that was hit really hard with Katrina, and they never really fully built back up. There's so many problems in that area, and the poverty and just the inequality in the area that, of course, we're seeing this sort of compounding problem where you do have the COVID situation with the people in Louisiana, and then on top of it with these natural disasters. And of course, at least this time the levees didn't break, but they found that they had a big power problem with their infrastructure, and they definitely need to be building Louisiana and this area back in a way that is going to be looking forward at the increasing climate disasters that they're going to be facing in that area.
Absolutely. Tomorrow on Rising, we have another great show planned for you all. Brianna Joy Gray, Michael Starr Hopkins, and Patrice Onwuka will be with us to break down the news of the day. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss any of our new videos, and we will see you all tomorrow.
See you then.
Bye.